Good morning, children, and once again, welcome to our English class. Children, we were reading the poem Wilbur Wright and Orville Wright, written by Stephen Vincent Bennett. In our previous video, we learnt about the poet, the Wright brothers, and also we discussed the first two stanzas of the poem. Before we move ahead to the remaining two stanzas of the poem, let us recapitulate all that we dealt with in our previous video. In our previous video, children, we read about the poet Stephen Vincent Bennett. Stephen Vincent Bennett was born on 22nd July 1898. He was an American poet, a short story writer, and novelist who was born in a military family. His father had wide appreciation for literature, and Bennett's siblings also became writers. He attended Yale University, where he published two collections of poetry, Five Men and Pomp and the Drug Shop. He graduated from Yale University in 1919. Bennett published his first novel, The Beginning of Wisdom, in 1921. His wife, Rosemary Kerr, used to assist him in writing. Bennett was successful in many different literary forms, such as novels, short stories, screenplays, radio broadcast, and libretto for an opera. For his long narrative poem, John Brown's Body, he received Pulitzer Prize in 1929. He also received awards such as O. Henry Story Prize, the Roosevelt Medal, and a second Pulitzer Prize in 1944. At the age of 44, Stephen Bennett suffered a heart attack and died on 13th March 1943 in New York City. Children, we also read about the Wright brothers, the inventors of the first airplane. Wilbur and Orville Wright were American inventors and pioneers of aviation. In 1903, the Wright brothers achieved the first powered, sustained, and controlled airplane flight and flew the first fully practical airplane. Always working on different mechanical projects and keeping up with scientific research, the Wright brothers decided to start their own experiments with flight. Wilbur and Orville Wright set to work trying to figure out how to design wings for flying. So they observed that birds angled their wings for balance and control and tried to complete this, developing a concept called wing wrapped. On 17th December 1903, they succeeded in flying the first free controlled flight of a power driven, heavier than air plane which flew for 59 seconds over a distance of 852 feet. Children, let us now recap the meaning of the first two stanzas of the poem. The poem Wilbur Wright and Orville Wright talks about the flying wonder of the aeroplane. They were initially inspired by the birds which flew freely across the blue sky, and they wondered about the fun of flying. They were the humble owners of a bicycle repairing shop, but nothing could deter their attempts to build a glider, their first invention. In their attempt to build a glider, they often met with obstacles and defeats. Yet they never gave up hope. They also learned the lesson that ruling the air was not a bed of roses. That is, it was not an easy task. The brothers were devoted to each other, and every now and then they would pat each other's shoulder despite bleak and hopeless moments. Children, now let us read the remaining two stanzas of the poem. Come to page 200, the third stanza. They glided here, they glided there. They sometimes skinned their noses, for learning how to rule the air was not a bed of roses. But each would murmur afterward, while patching up his brow, "Are we discouraged, W? Of course we are not, O." And finally, at Kitty Hawk in 1903, let's cheer it. The first real airplane really flew with Orville there to steer it. And kingdoms may forget their kings, and dogs forget their bites, but not till man forgets his wings will men forget the rights. Children, the third stanza here the poet says that the two brothers tried gliding in various places and sometimes met with accidents and failures. They even got hurt. It is because to fly in the air was not an easy affair to achieve. After each accident or mishap, one brother would murmur to the other while tending to his bruises whether they were discouraged, and the other would reply strongly that they were not. The last stanza talks about the day of their achievement. Here the poet Bennett says that at last in 1903, at Kitty Hawk, the brothers flew a real plane with Orville steering the plane. Here the poet says that kingdoms may forget their kings, and even dogs may forget to bite. But the rights will never be forgotten as long as man is able to fly in the sky. So, children, the achievement of Wright Brothers starts as a testimony for hard work, dedication, and the power to dream. All right, children, that's all for the day. Hope you must have understood the poem. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a good day.